On 15 and 16 of November 2021, IFERP and SNJB's College of Engineering Maharashtra is hosting a charming 7th International Conference on recent trends in engineering and technology that focuses on cutting-edge engineering technologies virtually.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, who is going to talk us about urbanization and groundwater quality, a case study of Bhubaneswar at Odisha by Ms. Priyanka Mishra, Assistant Professor, School of Architecture and Planning, KAIT deemed to be University Odisha. Thank you for joining us, ma'am. We can start with today's presentation. Over to you.
Thank you, Shriniket.
Yes.
First of all, I would like to thank IFERP for this special lecture series for which I am a part today,
You're
and
most welcome.
my university, KIT deemed to be University in Bhubaneswar, and all the viewers for their support. So before I start with my presentation, we'll have a brief about groundwater. Why is it important? We know from the ages since the inception of the civilization, we are dependent on water. Water is a very, very important resource, and groundwater has been a very important resource throughout the life of mankind. But what happened is, with urbanization, increase in population, increase in demand of water, the dependence on groundwater has been increasing throughout the ages, and in present years we find that in many countries we are having severe lack of groundwater, and we have lots of programs going up which need a faster and a more creative approach to tackle the situation of groundwater. So groundwater is facing challenges both in terms of quality as well as quantity. So today we are going to discuss mostly on the issue of quality, and my case study is Bhubaneswar, which is the capital city of Orissa in India. So can we start our presentation? Okay, so we'll be discussing about how the urbanization is changing the quality of groundwater, and few recommendations being an architect and planner. So how can we tackle the quality issue of groundwater, making it more approachable to the people, and increasing the quality of life of the people along with. So we know groundwater, which is the world's largest freshwater store, is a life-sustaining resource that supplies water to billions of people and plays a central part in irrigated agriculture and influences the health of many ecosystems. So it is important for human beings. It is a very important resource and as a very important part of the ecosystem. So more than half of the world's population resides in the urban areas, and which is expected to increase to nearly 70% by 2050. And urban areas comprise a wide range of various land use features, high population densities. They have huge infrastructure development which is growing very fast, and high resource consumption, and at the same time they generate enormous waste along with. The change in land use and land cover results in the alteration in vegetation, topography, natural drainage of the areas, soil permeability in urban areas, surface water body characteristics are altered, which again in turn alters the recharge and the groundwater dynamics and affect their quality. Groundwater systems underneath cities serve as the absolute drain for urban contaminants. So whatever the contaminants, what are the waste that are being generated, they make the groundwater, which is so important for our life, they are becoming now an absolute drain. So this needs to be taken care of as soon as possible. So if we talk about the contamination, sources of contamination of groundwater, they are both natural or anthropogenic. Natural includes geology of rocks, climate change, natural disasters, atmospheric depositions, weathering of rocks, and anthropogenic factors includes the land use, land cover changes, domestic waste, sewage, septic tanks, then fuel storage, underground pipes, transportation in urban areas, industrial effluents that are being generated, hospital effluents, since they are most of the times they are not taken care of and discharged directly into water bodies or on the in landfills. Then the landfill sites, leachate, storm water runoff, livestock, poultry, agriculture, these are all the major anthropogenic factors, and there are many more apart from these. So when we come to the study area, which is in Bhubaneswar, where I reside, and I have been in Bhubaneswar since 1981, so I have seen the city growing when it was a very small town with very less population, and a very little town which was mostly pedestrianized and very less traffic, and four wheelers were very few. So transportation was less, there were very much quite a lot open spaces all around, and it had a very good atmosphere, environment, and very less polluted areas. And Bhubaneswar, which has the historical name as Ekamra Kshetra, it is the capital city of Orissa, and it has now become a very important hub of information technology, education, health, economic sectors. All are coming up very fast, and it is now a very modern city, and it is a smart city. But when it was originally planned, it was planned for 40,000 people in 1946, using the neighborhood concept by German architect Otto Koenigsberger. And the city was very much, it had lots of open spaces when it was initially planned, but in the long run now the organized open spaces are lacking, parks and recreational areas are missing, which are a very important part of ecosystem and for groundwater recharge. And there has been a large degradation of Chandaka forest area, which is in the northwest part of the city, and green areas are very much degrading due to urbanization. And moreover, the urban fringes are very much, they are coming up as unplanned areas, need lots of planning approaches. Agricultural areas are shrinking. So these all are adding up to the problems of quality of groundwater, and the increasing built up areas, paved areas, which is damaging the natural land cover of the city. So it is situated in the eastern side of on the eastern Ghats, and there it is restricted by Kuakhai river in the northwest and northeast, and northwest by Chandaka Wildlife Sanctuary. City is bordered by on the south by Dayanadi river, and on the east by Kuakhai. And besides the rivers from the western upland area, we have lots of small streams that originate in the city, and they flow mainly towards east and southeast, joining the Kuakhai or Daya rivers. And due to the building up of dam in Chhattisgarh area, we find that Mahanadi river is now getting dried up. It is not getting the amount of water that should be there. It is becoming a very dry river now. So Kuakhai and Daya, which are perennial rivers and used to get water from Mahanadi, they are also being affected due to this loss. So urban growth and population growth, we can find that urban areas are increasing very fast, and population is also increasing, especially after becoming the smart city. There is a lot of migration taking place in Bhubaneswar. And when we touch up the hydrogeomorphology of Bhubaneswar, we find that upland areas have lateritic covers, and the slope is from north and west towards east and south. towards the river. And the main drainage channel is the Kuakhai River, which is a tributary of the Mahanadi. And upland areas in the western parts have few isolated hillocks made up of shale sandstone sequence of Upper Gondwana rocks belonging to Atgar Formation, which is one of the oldest and most stable landmasses in the world. And its altitude varies from 60 meters to 15 meters, and the topography is undulating in the western and central part and almost flat towards the east or southeast.
On 15 and 16th of November 2021, IFERP and SNJB's College of Engineering Maharashtra is hosting a charming 7th International Conference on recent trends in engineering and technology that focuses on cutting-edge engineering technologies virtually.
So we can see how the land use and land cover has been changing from 91 to 2008. The green patches have been reduced to a large extent, and urban areas, built up areas are increasing. This we can compare here. This is more clear from the chart here. Like we can see vegetation, how it is decreasing from 29.86% to 21.57%, whereas the residential area, built up areas are increasing at a very faster rate, as well as when we see the fallow land, it is reducing, agricultural land is reducing, water body is also reducing to a great extent. So these are the major challenges for groundwater in Bhubaneswar: increasing built area, dominant expansion of industrial and residential area, and when we find the inland surface water area has also remarkably reduced, which is affecting the recharge of groundwater and along with it the quality. So summing up, diverse land use and land cover changes, high population densities, rapid huge infrastructure development, high resource consumption, enormous waste production, inappropriate land use and poor land management, lack of solid waste management, drainage and sewage system. These are the major challenges we are facing for groundwater in Bhubaneswar. So when we look into the detailed aspects of these challenges, we find that as we were discussing, there are natural canals in the city, and which are now converted into drains. These are now called as drains or nalas in the cities, which were initially very important sources for groundwater recharge and stormwater drainage. Now they are all encroached up and becoming nala. And Gangua Nala, which is the largest drain, most of all the drains are landing up in that, and it is highly polluted, which is again polluting the groundwater resources. And the sewage generated, that is also directly flowing into these stormwater drains, because there is no proper sewage system existing in the city presently. And fecal sludge management is also not there. The septic tanks are leaking, they are very old, they are not maintained properly. The soak pits, they are also polluting the groundwater resources. So, and in many areas we don't find soak pits, so again the discharge is directly taken into the groundwater. So disposal and treatments, for disposal and treatment proposals are going on, but they are quite slow, they are taking time, and they need some more time to be functional. And generation of solid waste is very high, and collection system is lacks proper management, and which requires better management and better techniques to take care of the collection, so that the issue of groundwater quality can be resolved to some extent. Then segregation and treatment is also lacking for the solid waste management, and there are incentives that should be given so that these things can be taken care of in the longer run. Then when we take a look about the other challenges, there are proposed treatment plants which are facing delays, as we have discussed. Then there are sensitive areas like reserved forests, parks and open spaces, agricultural lands, River Daya and Kuakhai wetlands and natural drains, which are getting encroached and eaten up by the process of urbanization. The fertile and hydrogeologically crucial tracts of the rivers, lakes, drains are being rapidly encroached, and they are acted as the dumping of garbage, sewage, and construction waste sites. Wetlands are facing similar challenges, and there are large developments in the flood-prone areas, which are suitable for the natural drainage systems and groundwater recharge systems. So again, imposing a threat on the groundwater challenge. So we had taken results from 6 sites, and the groundwater quality was analyzed on the basis of pH, conductivity, BOD, turbidity, TDS, TH, nitrate and iron, and Mann-Kendall test was applied for the analysis of the results, and it was found that the trend of groundwater quality degeneration is increasing at a quite high rate. And when we look at these parameters, pH is a natural process, and conductivity, BOD, COD, those are also increasing. Turbidity is also increasing, especially in secretariat areas. Total hardness is high in the secretariat areas. TDS is also high. Iron, which is again a mostly a natural component for groundwater quality, it has been recorded high values in Khandagiri areas, and nitrate is increasing in many parts of the cities, again which is mostly due to the lack of proper sewage system in the city and other polluting effects, and this high level of nitrates are found in Jharpara, Samantrapur and secretariat areas. So when we come to high nitrate concentration, which is more than 100 milligram per liter, it has been found in Khandagiri areas, and what we find is high levels of nitrate may cause gastric cancer and adversely affect the nervous system and cardiovascular system, and for babies it is very harmful because it can cause infant methemoglobinemia, which is a disease known as blue baby syndrome, and causes the reduction in oxygen carrying capacity of blood. And when we come to higher level of iron, it gives a bittersweet astringent taste to water, making it aesthetically undesirable in color, odor and turbidity. And higher concentration of iron may lead to serious health problems as liver cancer, diabetes and liver disorders, heart and nervous system disorders, infertility, stone formation and malfunctioning of many of the organs. So the spatial variation of Sain slope during the analysis, it shows the positive values with large magnitude in the secretariat areas, which indicates that the water quality is declining at a high rate, and the changes in the quality may not be notable presently as compared to the deterioration in the quality of other environmental parameters in the region, but the situation would be grave in next few years if suitable actions are not taken for the control. As we can see globally, there are many cities which are coming up with groundwater quality issues, and there is severe tremendous loss of groundwater throughout the world, and in India we can see Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, where lots of apartments, high rise constructions are coming up, and they are mostly dependent on the groundwater due to the lack of water supply, and the groundwater aquifers are almost going towards zero level. So we can just imagine what would happen in near future when the quantity and quality of groundwater changes, and we would face a very huge pressure on human resources. So suitable action needs to be taken from now onwards, because in next 20 years we don't know where we would land up. So it's always better if we plan before the situation becomes grave. So as an architect and planner, we can have what I have proposed the natural drainage systems, which are very important part of for the qualitative groundwater recharge in the city, which are being encroached and which are becoming the nalas or drains and are being eaten up by the urbanization. We can develop them as a social gathering space. We can clean them and develop them so that they add aesthetics to the environment. They become socially engaging places for the people, improving their social life as well as giving economic employment generation in the areas and improving the all the parameters of the environmental conditions of the area. And overall spatial planning approach in the areas with mapping of groundwater potential and sensitive zones is very much needed so that the future development can be guided accordingly. And groundwater contamination sources early signs need regular monitoring and to focus on reduction rather than remediation in future. And a holistic and interdisciplinary approach for urban water supply and sewage system needs to be mapped out for the city as soon as possible. Then disposal of solid waste, that is a very important part that needs to be taken care of, and existing reserved forests which require protection from land use conversion to take care of the groundwater quantity and quality, and a spatial structure of multifunctional green areas can help to ensure long term development of groundwater, also improving the quality of life in cities. See, these little changes can bring great changes, and this can be taken care of while planning and designing the areas. Then regular maintenance and cleaning of water bodies, ponds, natural wetlands, upgradation of existing parks and open spaces need an immediate action, though many of these are coming up under the smart city mission. But on the city as a whole, these are very important parameters that need to be added and taken care of. And natural drains can be widened at some stretches, developed as recreational zones with landscaped areas to protect the groundwater quality and also improve the socio-economic and environmental quality as well as aesthetics of the area. So every city, each city is unique in terms of groundwater potential and demands policies which are very unique to the cities. We can't take similar policies for such a big nation as ours, which is different in terms of socio-cultural parameters, and geology is different, climate is different. So each city has a unique character. So the policies and guidelines have to be unique as per the city, which are locally sensitive, relevant based on the socio-economic, environmental, political conditions and future aspirations as well. Further research can integrate socio-economic and other ecological parameters to ascertain the further specific effects of urbanization on the groundwater quality. So we need lot of research and creative outputs to make it more acceptable and applicable. And to sum up and wind up, from lack comes a desire, from a desire comes a need, from a need comes a solution, and from the solution again a desire becomes reality. So we all need a proper approach and a very holistic approach for the management of groundwater quality. And I think we need to take guidance from our ancient technologies as well. If we study the Harappa civilization, if we study our ancient civilizations where our groundwater, where environment was a very important issue while planning a city, while planning any urban area. So, and even in our Vedas, there are lots of importance given for our environmental parameters, and lots of guidance has been given to take care of the planning approaches of the city. So we need to go back and refresh and plan our future accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable inputs that were presented in the guest lecture. So for receiving regular updates about IFERP guest lecture series, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn the notification on. Thank you so much, Priyanka ma'am. We are glad to receive your inputs. Thank you, ma'am.